So the announcement is out.
Yes.
You put it out there.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, just tell me how you're feeling.
Well, I feel, I don't know, this is an interesting way to look at it. I think I am thankful that I was able to get some rest finally after graduations. Those 32 graduations were wonderful, and I'm glad we made it happen. And then I was able to take a vacation, which was the first in a long time. And I just decided to stay in Palm Beach County. And I got to experience things in Palm Beach County I've never done. I went snorkeling at Du Bois Park. I had breakfast at Loggers Head Cafe, Benny's on the beach. And then spending time with my children. My daughter's starting kindergarten this year. My son's taking his first high school course at 12. And so I think the way I feel is more, I'm very happy. I'm happy that, one, we survived until this point. I mean, this has been a tumultuous year across the world, and public education is no different. But I think I'm very happy that my family is happy. And really that's all that matters at this point.
So was this a decision that came to you kind of while you had that downtime, or were you already kind of in that?
No, in the downtime, I think when you're in the middle of the pressure, I'm a military child, so the mission is the mission. And I think once I got the opportunity to sit still, I have an amazing team that have persevered and pushed through and created systems and efficiencies that the district, didn't necessarily have in the same way. And so I'm very comfortable now. Like we have the team to keep it moving. If you really think about it, across this nation, people are concentrating on the efforts of Palm Beach County. We were able to open our schools. Even though it was a rocky road, we got them open and then we kept them open. A lot of people are trying to emulate the work that we created with our synchronous learning across the country. So it is definitely, we have all the tools necessary to be successful. We have a great communications team. It's funny when I was at breakfast, I'll never forget, at a Loggers Head Cafe in Jupiter, and this elderly couple came up to me and they said, are you who I think you are? And my son looked and I said, well, who do you think I am? And he said, the superintendent. And then he just gave me a whole bunch of praise, just telling me how much he's been following my work on television, thanks to people like yourself. And it really gave me affirmation and confirmation that we are doing the right thing. We are making our district proud. And then, obviously, we know a lot about it, a lot of the national attention. Our HR department received the governor's Green Gardener award, and it's just Sterling Award, excuse me. And I think, and then my academic team, people are calling us asking, how did you create this? How did you create these processes? Operations department, we still built schools in the middle of COVID. We're opening 2 schools, we broke ground. So I feel like as a military person, as an athlete, as a marching band member, I think I've left it all on the field.
Your announcement came literally 4 weeks before that first day of the new school
Yeah.
year. Was the timing concerning at all, knowing that there's such a focus on starting?
Well, I think that during the break, I said if I'm going to do it, I need to do it now to give the board an opportunity to select the interim, and let's go through the process. And then just you start looking at your contract, and my contract requires a 90-day notice, and so I'd much rather do it this way than later. And the beautiful part of my contract also allows for the board to even put me in another role to help with the transition, and so in which I'm more than willing to do. It's just as you think about this time, and again as a father first, I'm a father first, and and I also realize that there comes a point where you have to start thinking about everyone else. I hear people say that they got closer to their families during COVID. I worked from the building the entire time, and I didn't necessarily get closer to my children because even when I was at home, the phone was constantly ringing. There was always something going on. And so I feel like I missed out on that opportunity. And we still, as a family, we still have to mourn for the loss of my in-laws. We lost them at the beginning of this experience, and so my children haven't been to the grave sites. I haven't. And then, so you think about all of that, and you start to put it into perspective. I've been in education for over 20 years. I've had an amazing career. I'm still very young, and I have a lot of work ahead of me. So I'm looking forward to the next phase.
I have to say, the way you're speaking right now, there's a little bit of a lighterness to you than I feel like I've seen in the past.
Yeah, because I think, in the process, especially over the last couple of years, you have to be very careful of every word that you say. It matters because no one really knew what was going on. So, constantly thinking, making sure that we're sending out a strong, confident message, that we're not making, for me, the way I am, I'm not the most emotional person. I'm very pragmatic and very systems driven. And so I think in the middle of a crisis, it's sort of like a wartime leader, and then there's a peacetime leader. In wartime, that's who I am. So I think, yeah, there wasn't anything lighthearted to be about. It was tough for people. People didn't know what was going on. People were scared. People were dying, and then for me, it was happening to me personally, but I didn't even tell y'all about that. I'm just trying to keep pushing the ship forward and putting one foot in front of the other and leading the team. When I first joined the team, I tell all my teams and across the country that I work with, you could climb on my back and you let them punch me in the face and kick me in the teeth so I can block that so that you can do your job. And that's people, that's how my father raised me, to be that leader and to take the abuse and so that the team can get work done. And the evidence is very clear that they got the work done here in Palm Beach County.
And you did take some of that.
Yep.
I mean, it was not an easy year.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of criticism, especially with when schools were opening
Mm-hmm.
and trying to get everybody where they needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And do you feel like that was fair criticism? Do you think that?
Absolutely. I mean, it's the nature of the job, right? Like when no one knows an answer, everyone has the answer, right? So so no matter what decision, I told the team at one point last summer, stop worrying about the right answer. Do what you think is right, because we're not going to please everyone. It's impossible. In an environment where there is no script, there is no playbook, it's never happened before. All we can do is put our best thinking forward and allow me to go out there and take the punishment. You guys get the work done. And so I'm very proud of how much we accomplished and how much we created. And that's just the way it's supposed to be. I think true leadership is standing in it when it gets tough. And again, as a child, I came home from school one time and my dad was in his uniform and says, I'm going to go fight a war. And this is pre-internet. So as a young man, what am I supposed to do? You can't cry about it. And I'm the oldest child. And in his words, you have to take care of your mother and your sisters. So when people ask me, I don't know how you deal with it, I said, no one's shooting a gun at me. No one's blowing bombs up around me. And so that's always been my inspiration. In my office hangs diplomas from my great-grandfather who fled a lynching in Alabama to go to Detroit in the 20s. So my life isn't that rough. And I have a tendency to put things in very clear perspective. Words are just words, and the emotional moments of COVID are just part of the journey. And so I think those of us who are chosen or selected to be in leadership, you have to accept that responsibility, and I do it wholeheartedly.
I know it's hard to look at things in this way, but if it weren't for COVID,
Mm-hmm.
everything, do you think you would still be leaving at this point, or do you think?
That's an interesting question. I would argue, so I had always intended to do, I had a 5-year contract, which was unique. I don't know any other superintendent that got a 5-year contract starting their first superintendency. But I can tell you, COVID accelerated that process quite a bit. I think we did more in a year and a half than we did in 3 years. And that's not to mention, I joined the team post-Parkland.
Yeah.
Then we had multiple grand juries. We had an unfortunate shooting at Palm Beach Central years ago. We had, so most people would argue that I probably dealt with more in 3 years than most people have done in their entire superintendency career.
Absolutely. So you had intentions of filling out that full contract.
Oh, absolutely.
When you got it.
Yeah, but they just come. But you wake up one morning and again, I've been married 20 years in a week or two, and so you really start to there comes a point in your marriage, and after a while my wife and children have followed me in my career, made all kinds of sacrifices, and so my wife was very clear. I'm not leaving Palm Beach County. I'm not leaving my home. And so whatever your next steps are, it has to be centered around this. So I think this is a great opportunity for me, thanks to the board having a 90-day clause allows me to entertain opportunities that have come my way and meet the conditions that my family says that they need for me to take. So, I can't afford to get another wife, so I'm gonna keep moving forward.
So the Fenoys are staying in Palm Beach County?
Oh, absolutely. We're not going anywhere. We love it here.
And do you have plans of what's next?
No, not right now. Well, yes, I do. The plans right now is to sit still and to spend, my daughter, I want to join the PTA at my daughter's school. I've never done that. Donald has never experienced me as a parent in a school. And so, my daughter gets an opportunity to have her daddy not be the superintendent while she starts school. And I think that'll be fun. And I think even for my son, he's getting ready to start 8th grade and then going to high school. And, I want to be a band dad and do just regular stuff. And you'd be surprised. Most people don't know this about me, but I don't go to teacher-parent conference. I don't do any of that stuff with my children because it's just not fair to the teachers. And so, now I can, we can eliminate some of that pressure on them, and I can really make sure that my children are ready for the real world when it's their time.
Of course, there's always rumors, oh, he's leaving to do this, or he's going to do that. I've seen on Facebook, oh, he's going to go be superintendent in Broward County. Or
Oh, okay.
I didn't hear that one yet.
Never heard that one yet.
There also is this consulting firm started by the former police chief, Frank Kitzerow, that we know you're an advisory board member on. Is that something you're looking to get more involved in?
Well, yeah, I mean, we haven't done it. He's just organizing that, and he asked us to sit to be members of help him do that. We haven't had any meetings or anything. But yeah, I think there's an opportunity for me to help wherever I can across the country. I think in that event, safety and security is very important to me. Obviously, my whole career here has been about that. We doubled the size of our police force and have had to put a lot of security measures in. And so I think the perspective of a superintendent and police chiefs and others who actually lived it. You have to remember Palm Beach, because of our citizenry, having the tax dollars to do the things that we've been able to do is very unique. No one else has sort of our structures. And so we have experience and we have done things that other people are asking to learn from. I mean, I think the COVID experience isn't over. And I think, mental health is a challenge. We're seeing, unprecedented violence and and shootings in general. And so schools are targets, and we need to make sure that, if we have information that we can share to help and maybe save someone else's life, why not? And I think, Chief Frank Kitzerow is an amazing man with a very established career. And so his contribution to that, I mean, he cares about school security. And so having people like myself as an advisor is great. But, we won't make any money doing it. It's a volunteer process, but I'm glad to volunteer my time for such a great man and a great cause.
So I'm going to make you think for a minute.
Okay.
On, the past 3+ years, highest high, lowest low.
Ooh.
I know that's a tough one.
Well, I think the lowest lows are any time we lose children. I'm very clear. Every decision I've made is in the best interest of children, every decision. And I think, there's times, in an organization this large, I have 23,000 employees. So anytime you lose children, or even adults, COVID, at the beginning, we had custodians passing away. And again, there's no way to control it or stop it. Yeah. So those are just very low. I take that very personally, because the question I always ask myself is, what more could we have done to prevent that, right? And I think that's sad. I think my highest moments have always been around graduations. This year in particular was very special, because I made the decision very early, that we're going to do this. We're going to give, our kids and our families an opportunity. And, as I present my speeches, it's always interesting to see how the crowd responds to them, because I speak very candidly and practically about things. I don't get into a whole lot of fluffy stuff. It's, this is life, and life is hard. I think I've had speeches where I tell kids to protect their brands and keep off the internet and protect that image. I think, this year is this idea of perseverance and strength. And, if anything, if I've displayed to anyone, I come to work with a smile every day. I don't care how tough it is. I don't care how bad a board meeting is. I show up the next day and go to work. And I think that it goes back to the men and women in my family who lived much harder lives than I'll ever live. And they went to work every day. And they give it 100%. And so in my career, and even now in this phase, I know people are like, how do you leave a job without a job? Well, I've always given my jobs 100% of myself. So for me, people come asking me to go do something different. So if I were to give a lesson to my kids, is wherever you're planted, you give it 100%. And if somebody wants you, they'll come get you.
That's good. I like that. And on that note, how do you kind of reassure the community? We are getting ready to start a new school year, more normal, but still, there's still a lot of emotions around it. How do you just assure them that, you're in this 100% until that last day?
Well, I think I'm committed to it, and the school board will make ultimate decisions. They may decide to put an interim superintendent so that they don't have to separate, after school starts. This is a good time, and I'll be here to support that person. So, for me, I think all of the teams are running on all cylinders. So prior to us, most of us hadn't been on vacation. So we made sure a lot of big decisions were made prior to us going on vacation. So we now have 4 weeks to kind of tie a lot of that stuff up. Training's already been moved. Everyone's in order. So we're ready to start implementing a lot of those pieces. Now, of course, just like last year, CDC guidelines are constantly changing. We'll probably get some mandates from the state, and we'll address those. But because we're trying to get back to as normal as possible, that's what we know how to do. That's the kind of the easy part. And so in the principals, and we've had a lot of great new principals that are just hungry and just amazing. We have great principal supervisors. All our chiefs are running on our cylinder. So again, let's just be honest. When you've been through a firestorm like we have, this is not that bad.
You're getting to the easier one,
right. This is much easier if you really, I have a tendency to, once a day is closed, I kind of don't worry about it. But, if you take a moment and think about everything we persevered through in the last 15 months, it's not going to be that hard for us.
Are you still anticipating a mask optional school year?
As of today, absolutely. Now obviously we're paying attention to this Delta variant, and we'll see where that goes. But even in that, as you all know, the emotions around that. You have people who believe in the science, people that don't believe in the science. You have people that want masks, don't. Again, you're never going to satisfy everybody. So we'll make our decisions we think is the best interest of students, and then families will have to make those decisions based on that. But that's one thing we definitely learned is we can't get caught up in trying to make everyone happy. We just have to do what we think is best and roll with those consequences.
Top priority before you walk out of here?
Just, I think for me, top priority is opening schools and then helping the transition to the new superintendent. I think, if it's going to be very difficult to find, to do a national search right now. You have, I think, 8 of the largest school systems vacant right now. You have 2 major districts in Florida that are vacant right now. And it's not a job people really want to, my wife always says, you're just built for so much pain. You just like that stuff. I'm like, it's just work. I don't know. But a lot of people really, don't want to experience that. So I think prioritizing getting it, because if it's internal, that means there's going to be someone on my team, which is great. So we have a great relationship with my whole team, and I can help them transition. I think that's very important so that all the employees can now center their energy with the leadership of whoever that person is. So those are my big priorities right now.
Do you anticipate that you'll be here through October 11th?
In some fashion, in some fashion. Again, when you transition in leadership, you can't have 2 bosses. Yeah. That's too confusing. So, and again, the way my contract is written, if I have to go to a lesser role and kind of get out of the spotlight, and then I can be behind the scenes helping, that superintendent, get everything in order. And I'm more than willing to do that. It's just, you're right. I am a lot, you make me talk about it. It feels a little different,
Right.
But, I'm excited. I thank this entire community just for being so great to me. And, if you're not careful, you can get easily caught up in the social media and the people that come to board meetings. But you have to remember, there are millions of people that live in this community. And again, when I go out, and especially over the last 24 hours, oh my gosh, the level of support, and people are offering me jobs, and people felt like we broke up and I didn't even know we were in a relationship. And I think for me, as not the most emotional person, I'm actually struggling with how emotional a lot of my employees are. I just didn't realize I had that much of an impact on them. And so that's something I had to process on my own, because it's not my thing. It's just, I'm a strong alpha male. And so when I hear people who are emotionally distraught around this that I've never even met, that's heavy for me, because I don't look at myself as someone who has that type of impact on people's lives.
Yeah. Now you have to start.
Yeah, I had to think about it.
Now you're getting emotional.
Yeah.
It's a big, it's a big pedestal to be on.
Yeah, I honestly didn't think it all the way through. I think when I made the decision, I just didn't think nobody cared that much. It's another guy leaving, and that's not been the last 24 hours. It's been very heavy. People are we're very pleased with my leadership, and it's a shame, I think, sometimes in these jobs where the vocal minority is what you hear the most, and you don't hear from the masses. And again, positive affirmations from people that are close to me who know me, thank you. But from people who don't know me at all, but only have witnessed me from afar, I wasn't ready for that. Last night I was like, wow, I don't even, what did I do to make you feel that emotional about me? And again, I'm just a young man that just goes to work hard every day, and I just want to do what's best for kids, and that's it.
And now you're doing what's best for those 2.
Yeah. Now I'm doing what's best for those 2. So Yeah, but yeah, that's been the most overwhelming is sort of the emotional response from my staff around my decision. But I thank them for everything, and it's been a great run, and I wish them all the success in the world. And the good news is for all of them, whatever their future endeavors are, I'll be there to support them. I'm as a person who's worked in multiple school districts, I still talk to people in other school districts every day like they're still here. And again, that's part of my military upbringing, is when I leave, I don't leave people. The relationship lasts forever if it's authentic. Yeah.
All right, last word, anything else you want to say?
No, I mean, well, one, I want to thank you. You've been with me the whole time, and I think to my entire team and the larger community, the business community, the parents, just thank you for believing in me and being there through the rocky road. And real relationships require the ups and downs. That's what a real relationship is. There's always going to be highs and lows in a relationship, and the fact that I'm in a place where I can leave on my own terms is good. It's good for the board. It's good for all of us that we're not making this transition in the middle of some controversy, and then allows us to now focus on what's right and what the best things we should be doing for kids.